For anyone who is new here or their first time or just starting to connect with me or connect with our monk life meditation community or connect with Buddhism and meditation or even spirituality, I will introduce myself a little bit. I am Bhante Warapanyo. I am a 30-year-old American Buddhist monk currently residing in California. And I've been a Buddhist monk for 5 years, more than 5 years, and have been on this meditation or spiritual training journey for almost 10 years now, since I originally started by going to train in a 1-year meditation program at a place called Upaya Zen Center. So through the practices of meditation or doing good deeds or being mindful and being in community and learning from the teachings of Buddhist philosophy, Buddhist practices, I have been able to heal my mind, to transform my mind. Almost miraculous, but actually it's quite normal to be able to heal our mind and work with our minds in a meaningful way. And Buddhism is the practical approach to doing exactly that, right? To healing our mind, to working with it in a practical, sustainable way, not only by ourselves, but in community and with practical ways to step forward in our daily life. And in this moment, in fact, I am not here to bring anyone to be a religious person, but rather for those who may have suffering or want to develop their deeper understanding, their wisdom, their relationship with truth, or heal suffering inside themselves that may not be getting the nutriments that they need through Western psychology or other forms of religion, then I'm here to share Buddhism as an accessible way to move forward on the path. And the monk life meditation community doesn't mean that being a part of this community doesn't mean that you're my student or my follower, or even that you necessarily support me. But rather, it's that you understand what we are doing here, what the intention is here, and you understand that there are a lot of people who understand that and want to work in this space and to practice together and support each other, and you also want to do that, right? And be in harmony. I am the main facilitator and founder and Buddhist monk here, but that doesn't mean as much as a single moment of mindfulness or doing good deeds or following precept or healing our mind, right? So I'm just an important part of the structure here, but the structure here is not meant to be all about me, and hopefully as time goes by, we can evolve more in having different people host group meditations and all kinds of opportunities that can develop from this foundation of communal practice, mindfulness, and that great aspiration to end suffering and to understand that Buddhism is a really practical, digestible, workable path to deal with suffering, to free ourselves. All right? So today is very just meant to be a community gathering and opening, not too much form, not too much structure, but also we can use some structure in how we interact. I have some teachings I can share, and the space is open for our sincere practice, our generosity. Generosity of body, mind, verbal actions, physical actions, and especially the generosity to stop and let go of thinking. So for most of us, we can practice mindful breathing in any situation at any time. And this environment, like our being here in our online meditation center, is the walls to contain our mindfulness. And as long as we can be inside of these walls or be present with this situation, then we can practice mindful breathing and we can renounce or detach from our complicated thinking, our selfhood. So let's see if anyone has a question that they'd like to ask or a sharing to the group. You could also introduce yourself if you feel to do that and be heard by the group. Introduce your practice, your experience on the path, and maybe also ask a question. And that's a way we can practice generosity and also feel like the Sangha power. The Sangha power is not just to do something or share something, but it's also to receive, to listen deeply from the heart. So let's open the space for some of our members to do that, or share a question with the group, or a topic that maybe we can look at together. But before we do that, let's listen to 3 sounds of the bell and kind of come home to our mindfulness and our breathing and really settle into this joyous space or joyous spaciousness. Just to offer some encouraging words, I find that there is a lot of richness in that space to share and also that space to listen, that opportunity to offer and that opportunity to receive, and just to to dwell in that is very nourishing. And then from that place of nourishment and dwelling and peaceful abiding, we offer out, we share out. When we come together in this way, there is a really lovely power and an energy of intimacy with direct experiencing. And this means that our uh, feelings in the body or feelings in the mind aren't some kind of trap that we fall into or that we identify with, but there's this deep looking, this we notice the effervescentness, the sparklingness quality of each and every moment of our experience, and how it's to open to and widen out in. It's not some predefined identity or even personal experience. It's a real experiencing that we get this chance to connect with, so that it's not through our thinking that we understand this state or this situation more, but it's about our willingness to show up to it, to be with it. Not letting the mind or the body carry you around or block you in any way, but just the support to be continuously mindful, continuously aware, and find out what is reality, what is you in that awareness. What is this? What's happening right now? What is reality? What is truth? What is the great matter of this life? So there's a real quality of not a particular question, but the questioning itself, and noticing the mind, the surface level mind, how it comes up and has something to say, or some view, some thought, some perspective, and your ability to not grasp or get lost in that, but notice it, come back to the present moment experiencing. Different places in the body may bring up your attention or kind of call for your attention. Being aware of them and relaxing whatever place in the body you notice. And also in the mind, certain thoughts or pull, you get pulled this way or you get pulled that way. You notice it, and then coming back to this platform of awareness, of presence, and then deepening that platform, deepening your position in presence itself or awareness itself. And that's very open. It doesn't mean you can't speak or you can't act or we need to be a certain way. It doesn't mean that. But that our foundation is not lost in anything or anyone or any mental or physical experience. It is rooted in experiencing itself. And that doesn't mean this or that. So the responsibility is on you to become individuated in your practice, to take responsibility for reality itself rather than this construct or this story in reality, this past, this future, but to really find your grit in this right here, right nowness. Okay, maybe let's sing a song. Or sing a song isn't really the best way to say it, but practice this way together. So the way that we'll do it, we're all on different places in the world, so our connection to different data servers and all that, there's a lot of latency. It's very difficult to sing together or harmonize, and it's very distracting when we try to do that for a practice like this. So just sing along with me, harmonize along with me, and do your best to practice this song. So it's very simple. The lines are: the mind is a clear blue sky. The mind is a clear blue sky. Clouds come, clouds go, but the mind is a clear blue sky. So let's try that one together. Okay, use your voice. We've got all these interpersonal situations and relationships with the people around us. Well, maybe there's a heaviness there because you aren't singing that the mind is a clear blue sky. So they think that the clouds or the worries or the complicatedness is the mind. Actually, the mind is a clear blue sky. So let's try this one first. And if you're difficult to follow along, just listen first, and then the next time you'll be in a better position to sing along. And we'll do that twice. Let's try. The mind is a clear blue sky. The mind is a clear blue sky. Clouds come, clouds go, but the mind is a clear blue sky. Let's try that one from the top. The mind is a clear blue sky. The mind is a clear blue sky. Clouds come, clouds go, but the mind is a clear blue sky. Now instead of clouds, we'll do thoughts. Try to join along in this practice. The mind is a clear blue sky. The mind is a clear blue sky. Thoughts come, thoughts go, but the mind is a clear blue sky. Let's do that one again, thoughts. The mind is a clear blue sky. The mind is a clear blue sky. Thoughts come, thoughts go, but the mind is a clear blue sky. Let's do worries. The mind is a clear blue sky. The mind is a clear blue sky. Worries come, worries go, but the mind is a clear blue sky. Now, this is concerned with the ultimate teachings of Buddhism. In Theravada Buddhism, emptiness is kind of referred to as the 3 marks of reality. So that is to say that all physical phenomena and all mental phenomena, or all forms, all expressions of name and form, right? So maybe there's a mountain, and so the name and the form. And this can become philosophies and also objects. So material and mental objects, we can say, are marked by dukkha, anicca, anatta, so that they are marked by impermanence. So the most permanent thing we can imagine, even like so permanent that we can't even comprehend it intellectually. The physical structure of our brain can't comprehend it because it's so deeply that way. Okay? A mountain is fundamentally impermanent rather than permanent. The sun and the sky, the moon, the earth, you can't comprehend it with the physical structure of our brain, that it's fundamentally impermanent. In the same way, it doesn't exist as a separate self-entity. So that your body, yourself, your mental body and your physical body do not, have not, will not, cannot exist as a separate self-entity. So the view of yourself as any kind of separate self-entity is an illusory view, right? It's like when you see the clouds in the sky and you don't understand that the clouds are temporary expressions that come up and go away, but that the nature of the sky is empty or wide open or spaciousness itself. And so in the same way that dukkha, that these objects, mental objects or physical material objects, cannot satisfy. Clinging to them or grasping them or involvement with them is not satisfactory. And so we can also say that these are empty. These phenomena, people, places, situations, experiences, are empty of a self, a separate self, or an individual essence. They are empty of a permanence, and they're empty of being satisfactory. So, recognizing that, we detach from those phenomena. We step back and feed our awareness, feed our mindfulness, and also feed our peace, our joy, our forgiveness, our gentleness, our willingness to help. And in this way, we become very practical, very grounded in our direct experiencing, and also very grounded in our generosity and our goodness and our wholesomeness and our patience and our gentleness and our forgiveness, right? And in that way, we develop more solidity, more stability of mind. Our mind becomes a refuge. Our life becomes a refuge of practice. And from that position, clarity is more accessible. The clarity of the mind, so that we start to adjust our way of being to not be so reliant on the clouds, and more understanding that the clouds are just appearances, mental appearances, physical appearances, that are not to be rejected. They don't need to be rejected, but they also are not to be clung to or attached to or lost in. They're just to be put down or used, right? This body is to be used or experienced only without attachment. And used for what? And experienced for what? To do good deeds, to help others do good deeds, to experience the effects of good deeds, to help others experience the effects of good deeds, to develop wisdom, insight into the truth. What is the truth? Great question. And help others develop insight, and onward and upward, right? So simplify, stabilize, practicalize. And there's so much potential there for building new communities, for developing new ways of being in our own life, right? And healing and decoupling from this ego or this self-fixation that has not served us up to this point, and finding out what that's going to look like and what that's going to be. But not taking that as this kind of just disassociated perspective, or nihilistic perspective. We are a continuation of our ancestors. We are a continuation of the human species or tradition. So I like to say Buddhism is real, meditation is real, right? Virtue is real. We don't need to think about these things. That's a kind of skepticism. Do I need to think about being generous? Do I need to think about being a good person? Do I need to think about being mindful? No, right? And if I'm aware that I am not skillful to think about anything, I can't even manage my own mind or my life, right? Then I mainly need to listen and stop. And you don't lose your independence or your individuation in listening or stopping. You become more independent and more individuated. And, a lot of people are not skillful in terms of mental health or practicing meditation or knowing about Eastern philosophy or Buddhism. So we have to step into the place of stopping and listening deeply and doing our best to really get involved with these teachings, not thinking about them. You know, it's like I do some work with a self-improvement community for young men, right, who are 14, 16, 18, and a lot of them do not have role models in their lives at all, right? Two parents, that's basically their only family that's close to them, and both of them are very busy. That's if they're lucky, right? If they have two parents and a stable home. But you see this habit energy there, right? Where the moment that there's the smallest bit of success in their self improvement, the moment they get the smallest little bit of individuation, right, or independence in their practice, now they want to be a teacher. Now they want to start having a social media channel. Now they want to do this and that. And they just get lost in that, right? So the more completely we can stop, the more deeply we can listen, that's how we'll be able to develop and grow and make use of teachers and students and being a follower and being a leader, right? We'll be able to make use of anything. When we're individuated, when we find our solidity in our mindfulness and in our goodness, we don't find our solidity or our independence in our desires or our fears. We find it in freedom. And then we can explore from this place of freedom. We can act from this place of freedom. Generosity becomes an ending and a finishing of the self and of the ego and our desire and our fear. It has nothing to do with what other people want. It doesn't even have to do with doing things in a skillful way. It's beyond that. It's just forgiving. It's just enlightening. It's just finishing and ending all the nonsense. It's just helping only, doing only, experiencing only, breathing only, studying only, hearing only, seeing only. And for our ancestors, hunting only, or, doing for some of us, doing God knows what only, Buddha knows what. So we are very blessed to come across these teachings and this community, and let's try to make use of it as best we can.
I have a nephew that is 21 and is the son of my sister. And I love him very much, and I feel that he loves me very much too. And he was in a depression for about 4 years, and I was in a depression for about 7 years, uh, and now I feel better, and I try to talk, to send him video, to do some little humor things to keep in touch with him and make him see another perspective. But I feel that there is so many traps everywhere around him, and so many he could get trapped so in so many ways that it's difficult to know how to help him to get back on a good path, because I don't want to do moral to him, but he takes drug and he drink a lot, even if he's a very, very good guy, a boy. And I remember when he was young, he was so poet, he was so philosoph, he understands so many things, he was so generous, and now I see his depression, and yeah, I don't know exactly how to do to make the best use of what I know. And even because I get caught also into traps. So what can I do to help him to be more happy at 21 years old?
Well, you can forgive him. Forgive his unskillfulness, and forgive him for not being the person that you want him to be.
Well, I love him like he is, and I understand everything, and I really don't care and don't judge at all. Really,
Well,
I did maybe,
this
yeah,
is the forgiveness of detachment. This is the
yeah.
forgiveness of abandonment. This is the forgiveness of unaffiliation. So for someone in more extreme cases, maybe your relationship with them, maybe they are a serious drug addict, so they will contact you regularly for money, or they will come around you and take your property for their needs, right? So in this way, we need to abandon, detach, unaffiliate. But even if we have the good condition and they are not so seriously sick, to be around them and to communicate with them, uh, you cannot control that person. You cannot change, you cannot transmit your experience to them. What you can do is invite them. And the best thing we can do is to become powerful. Become powerful in our mindfulness, become powerful in our virtue, become powerful in our uh, practice of doing good deeds in all kinds of ways, of being mindful in all kinds of situations, of being robust and upright. And then when the time comes, you hope, that it may come when they take refuge in you for whatever reason, you'll be there to support them in the fullest way and in the deepest way. There's not much else we can do, you know. It's a little bit different if they are the child that's nearby that we are responsible for, right? But that's not his situation, and you also need to not appropriate his experience. You are not him, right? And it's like if you have a child that is you maybe you are even near them, you're doing your best to raise them, but they get sick. You're not sick. That's not your experience. So the compassion or the wisdom or the mindfulness that we share with those people, it needs to come from our own practice and just being in a state of not being confused, right? Not being confused about where you stand and also see them clearly. But what we can do is offer to them and invite them. But sometimes we also have to give them space and give ourselves space from that relationship to see it more clearly. Yeah. But abandon the idea to control or to fix or to manage or the ideal of him, because there's no such thing. Really, if we get down to the deeper part of it, it's just your mind, right?
Yeah.
And that's why you offer the forgiveness and the freedom and the compassion and the love to that aspect of your mind. And then when you interact with him, that spirit will be there in the richest way, in the most refined way. So
Mhm.
I hope that helps, Sonia.
Thank you very much. It helps.
The constant chasing after some pleasurable experience or having fun, this is really at the root of our suffering and a lot of ignorance and a kind of complacent stupidity, right? We give so much importance to our desire, and then we have a capacity to fulfill that desire, so we think we're the king of Rome. No, you're not. You're a fool, right? So the suffering is not just the pain, and it's not just the kind of this question of, well, am I actually fulfilled by getting what I want, by getting my desire? Because of course you're not. How many times have you gone to the bottle? How many times have you sought out some kind of fun experience? How many times have you eaten? Are you satisfied? So clearly that's not it. But it's also this kind of neutrality or boredom that needs to be penetrated into, right? That our surface level perspective or experience is not as important as we think it is, but rather it's an opportunity to go deeper into our experience. It's an opportunity to start doing good deeds, using your body and mind for bringing benefit, not just stuck, not just trapped in um, hanging out, but you practice seriously mindfulness of breathing. Or you can question seriously, what can serve at this moment? How can I be good right now? How can I help right now? How can I serve right now? And the great joy of becoming a practitioner is that you can be mindful right now, and that's very powerful. Go ahead, Kara.
Look after me and they wish the best for me. And they tell me what I should do, but the things they ask me to do is not something I want to do. Like they ask me, for you to be an enlightened human being, you have to go to church every Sunday.
To what?
And they to go to church,
Oh, to go
to
to
actual
church. Yeah,
physical.
to go to church,
Yeah.
right.
And I'm like, it's not connected to my spirituality in any way. And they're like, no, no, that's the thing you should do. You have to get up every Sunday and go to church. And uh, like there is only one way that I can lead a spiritual life, or virtuous life. If I can be virtuous but not go to church, let's say, it doesn't count. And other than that, the friends are awesome. Like they're great friends. But they have like this very narrow vision, and they think it's the duty to make me follow the same path. And I keep struggling with that. Let's say it feels like if to follow your advice of detachment, let's say I can detach. Like, should I detach from my friends? Hmm. Like it's a kind of mm, how do I pick up make a decision? I know it's difficult. It's a difficult question.
Well,
I'm sorry to lay it on you.
for for alcohol, not only should we detach from alcohol, but we should also abandon it. Alcohol as a poison, alcohol as an intoxicant, alcohol as something that is a leading cause of suffering in the human world, right? And has been problematic for a very, very long time, right? In all kinds of ways. So not only should we detach from alcohol, meaning that we're not for or against it, but we're kind of aloof from it, but we should also abandon the activity of drinking alcohol. So it also goes with certain friends. Actually, we should detach from all of our friends because nobody's perfect. Nobody is going to live up to a particular ideal that you set for them of your ideal friend. And do you want your friend to be that, just your idea of them, or do you want them to be a real human being that can listen to you and is dynamic and share with you and connect with you, right? So we do detach from our friends, and we detach from their actions so that we don't get lost in our perceptions about them. But some friends, maybe they're not good friends on the path. And if we practice correctly, if we practice seriously to be mindful, to be virtuous, to do less of what we shouldn't do and do more of what we should do, we're going to probably see that our friends are irrelevant. And we need to be more careful about how we spend our time, right? For your situation, maybe you have to find out if these are people you want to spend more or less time or the same amount of time with. But also, we don't need to take each other too seriously. We should only take each other seriously as much as it is practical. Otherwise, we just listen and share. Oh, that's your perspective. That's what you're sharing about. That's cool. I appreciate that. I'll take that into consideration. And you can also try what they're saying. Maybe go to church with them, have some experience with them. But don't take people too seriously. Even the most serious people, don't take them too seriously. Take them sincerely, right? Maybe you see if they're sincere. But there was a Jewish Zen master in America by the name of Bernie Glassman, and actually he did a book with. Not Jeff, the guy who was the dude in that movie, The Big Lebowski. And the book is called
Bridges?
Jeff Bridges. The book is called The Dude and the Zen Master. And anyway, this Zen master, Bernie Glassman, would, whenever he was giving a Dharma talk, like a formal meditation talk or Buddhist teachings talk, or I think whenever a situation would get too serious, he kept a red clown nose in his bag or in his pocket, and he would put that red clown nose on himself. Right, a very serious practitioner. So you're a clown, I'm a clown, everyone's a clown. Let's enjoy our life here at this circus. But there's a way to enjoy your life at this circus that leads to you falling off the trapeze and breaking your back and being in a abysmal state for the rest of your life. Or there's a way to swing along happily and joyfully and mindfully and eventually be free from suffering. So which way are we going to go? The seriousness should be in our application of the principles that are taught to us in the Buddhist teachings and things that we try and make sense, that we experience. The sincerity should be how we live our life. We should practice seriously, and in general, we should be sincere and not too serious. We have to find that balance. Right? Do we need to be serious with children? Do we need to seriously raise children? Do we need to seriously go on a walk with a child that comes in and they're just completely open and curious and playful? No. That's not the joy of a big fat baby. Oh, I'm serious. Time to get serious. No. It's time to be sweet and sincere and joyful and soft and careful and loving. That's the important. And the reason, what I can say is one of the reason that like your friend may encourage you to go to church is that they know that's what works for them. They've had experiences with that. And also with our spiritual life, we've got to get practical. We've got to cut out the consumerism or the consuming or the spectating aspect out, right? We need real community. We need real relationships. We need to be seen. We need to see. we need to have real connections with spiritual community and spiritual practice, things that we can come back to and put into practice day after day, and that we're concerned with, that we're involved with, right? So we're involved with the church. We're involved with the community of meditators. We're involved with the meditation center in whatever way we're able to do it, what makes sense for us, to what capacity we can get involved. But if you're serious about the practice, which is probably the only thing in life you should be serious about, and even that, if you're too clinging or you're too tight, then you're not practicing correctly, then you won't have much benefit. It'll just be another thing that you consume, that you watch, that's on the itinerary. It won't be how you live your life. Because it's not about this special experience or this like race to have an understanding, or even these periods of time, even years. It's a way of life that we live as a whole over 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, what have you, but it's also the nowness in that. And somehow those two things are very, very connected. How concerned you are with the path as a whole, and how you're involved with it, and how you're committed to it in terms of community and teachings, and your trust in that as a way to, your capacity to wake up and to be free. And then also like how you're concerned with that in all kinds of ways. And then this right here, right nowness, this presentness, this visceralness, this aliveness of the present moment awareness right here and now in each and every breath. Right? That whether you feel pleasant or you feel unpleasant or you feel bored, that this breath that you're taking right now, which is just kind of an entry point to awareness as a whole, which is everything, right, is life itself. So if you're bored or you feel pleasure or you feel pain, is much less essential than that the life that is breathing in and breathing out right here and now. And from that place of contact, from that place of mindfulness, that's where you can plant seeds. That's where you can start to train the mind and master the mind, from that place of mindfulness.
Thank you. I especially like the part where you said it will become, if you don't do it right, it will become a thing you just consume.
Yeah.
That one will give me a lot of thought for later. The awareness of the now. I appreciate it.
And we don't want it to be intellectual. The intellect is a nightmare. Leave the intellect for the people designing our smartphones, and pushing technology forward. That's why they get paid the big bucks, right? Unless you're getting paid to design a better smartphone, leave the intellect at the door and just be virtuous and be mindful and be lovely and fresh and good, right? But we should also be careful. One of the things you brought up there about like your friends who say, hey, you should be more spiritual, you should do this kind of thing or that kind of thing, is that sharing our sentiment is not generosity. Your sentiment is more like a comment, or it's something you throw like, hey, that's kind of cool, or I support that. It's like writing your signature on a petition, right? That's not generosity. That's not getting involved. That's this kind of faux involvement, right? That faux support, or you're giving this kind of random advice to somebody. It's what we're willing to give up. And if you practice seriously and if you get the chance, then you can give up everything. And you can just be home. So that generosity is a very precious, precious thing. Doing good deeds, helping, volunteering, supporting. not to get the good result, not to get to the end, not even because it's going to bring benefit to you or that other person, but it's the giving away. And what do you want to give away? A sentiment? Oh, hey, this, you should check out this YouTube video. Here's a book recommendation. Or do you want to give your life? Do you want to give that which you are involved with and attached to, and give that away? And that's where we really find our power of detachment once we get involved. Because there's a saying here, everybody's a Buddha or everybody's enlightened until you have a roommate. Because one of the practices here at this temple is we'll have, every monk has a roommate that they stay with. And it's really true, right? We're all enlightened in our jacuzzis. We don't have a jacuzzi here, but, we're all enlightened in the bathtub. But it's when you get out and you've got to go to work or deal with your partner or be a good parent, etc., that's where your practice really comes in. So bringing those two things together, your spiritual life and your practical life, gives you the supports and the encouragement to not see these two things as separate. And then when the big Garuda bird flies over, that is this great bird of a situation or an experience or a person or whatever, flies over and its wings are so big that it covers up the sun and covers up the sky, you know that that's the place for your practice. Not the place for this, complicated intellectual suffering. That's the place where you really come home to the practice. And that you're not doing that alone.
Dear Sangha, I want to offer a question. I have trouble with taming my mind, mainly due to my neurodivergent nature. And I often retreat into intellectualizing things and forgetting to kind of let go and stay present. And I really identify with what Bante has said. So I wonder if there's any guidelines or advice that could help me calm myself. Thank you.
This question is for the group as well. Is that right, Nino?
Of course.
I needed to see that reality is much bigger than me and my problem and my suffering. And that the wisdom and compassion of many people is far greater than I originally thought or even could comprehend. So abandoning, in my case, by kind of less by choice and just things changed. I was in a different environment and, really because of crises. But because of abandoning my life, I was able to get back my life, right? Because of abandoning my control, I was able to get back my control. And that's what I recommend for a lot of people. We can do in smaller ways for smaller situations. We can do in bigger ways in bigger situations. I encourage people to experiment. And from my side, if you have serious mental suffering that has been continuing for a long period of time, and you are unequipped and unable to deal with it in a meaningful way, then you should seriously try to change your life, change your environment, get treatment. And there are many different kinds of treatment, but basically it's treatment in community. It's going to refuge in community. Some people can go for refuge in, it's not really bigger or smaller, but in a particular way, that's enough for them. They're supported, they're nourished, they're held by that, and they can continue. Some people need to go for greater refuge. And it takes, at least for me, when I first stepped into like renunciation life or abandoning my life intentionally, I needed to bang my head a bunch, or I needed to drain myself or lose myself in my arrogance before I could be humble enough to say, I don't know what I'm doing. And I need community and I need support. Now, our space, our online Sangha here is a part of that support, but there's also deeper support in joining the Buddhist community or attending. I'm not too big on like short-term retreats, like a 10-day Vipassana for the uninitiated or for people who aren't used to that. But going into community spaces for a number of months or for an indefinite period of time and seeing the dynamics of spiritual life that are free of what you are familiar with, I think can be very beneficial. And a lot of people they cannot change their mind unless they change their environment. And that willingness to abandon your environment can seem like I don't know, like you're breaking the code or you're running into financial instability or there's a danger in that. But actually the danger is in ignorance and attachment. The danger is in your grasping. Doesn't matter how much money you have. If you're not at peace, it's not going to do anything for you. You don't really have stability. Right? So be ready to abandon your life. Be ready to take refuge in the community and see how you can do that and what ways you can do that. I mean, I say that because that's what I've done more by like just circumstance when I got started, and that eventually led me to being a monk. But so I know the benefits that go along with that. And if you are, let's be clear, right? If you're a modern person and also if you're a white man, and generally intelligent and, generally skillful, I mean, there's plenty of wealth to go around. It's not like you're on the streets of Mumbai trying to make ends meet for yourself or something like that. There's infinite opportunities. And the more that you're able to heal your mind and be good and be at peace, the bigger those opportunities are going to become. When we act out of fear, we plant seeds of fear. When we act out of freedom, we plant seeds of freedom, right? And if your life doesn't work, abandon it. If your shoes, here's a real lesson, right? If you're walking in the streets of Vietnam and the flip-flops that you're wearing are cutting into your skin, right? Your biggest organ, and cutting your skin open, abandon your shoes. Abandon them and walk barefoot. Otherwise, you're cutting into your feet. It's very dangerous. The streets are a lot cleaner than you imagine. I've walked barefoot in New York City. No problem, no issues. Abandon what doesn't serve you. And, here you're lucky enough that we do have some connection points for staying at, residential centers and programs and opportunities that are available. And be patient and understanding with yourself, and don't cheat yourself where it's this ultimate thing that you need to do or you won't do anything. It's wonderful. It's lovely to go for a walk. So just go for a little walk. Just because you can't hike to the top of the Swiss Alps doesn't mean that you can't go for a walk and be mindful, or give yourself some time and some space to rest and heal with your presence, just because it's not the ultimate practice. And know that you can abandon everything and be supported. And that through your aspiration, your vow to be good, to be peaceful, to be mindful, to transform your suffering, you will be supported. You can still get sick. You can still die, and the world isn't set up for you to be a prince or a princess. But you can be supported, and you can be in a beautiful state of mind if you practice seriously, really. And eventually you'll find yourself in a beautiful place as well. It's really true. And what religion or what's this cult? What's going on? It's a cult of virtue and meditation and insight and generosity and mindfulness and detachment and doing good deeds, period. And yeah, people wear different clothes in different communities and shave our head or talk a different language. Oh my gosh. But that's okay too. So what? That's just surface level stuff. And it is really good. And it's much better than just being stuck in your house or stuck in a dead end job and just, trying to maintain this lifestyle that doesn't give you any nourishment or any peace or any happiness or any freedom. And the people that are living that path, such as Bhante and other monks and nuns that are also accessible online, that's an access point for you to feel that connection, for you to feel that lifestyle, for you to be involved with that, not separate from that. Not everybody needs to be a monk or a nun, but you can become a monk or a nun. And if you have that aspiration, and if you have that dare to abandon, even if it's for a little bit, is precious and beautiful and wonderful. But you've got to have grit in between your teeth. You've got to be ready. You've got to be brave. Because this body and mind are not satisfactory. And that's why we dare to abandon them.
I want to say something on this. I do feel inspired by what you're saying, definitely, and it's given me a lot to think about. But I have a tendency to feel very overwhelmed easily, and that can lead to all sorts of strange behaviors um, and other sorts of like suffering for me and for people around me. Um, and of course, that's okay to some degree, but I would just have to, work with that, I guess.
Well, enjoy that capacity you have to abandon that. You'd be homeless inside your own home. That's the other thing about this potentiality of giving everything up or abandoning your life that monastics embody, is that you can touch that right where you are. You can touch that being supported, abandoning your striving for material success, abandoning all your relationships. You can experience that right here, right now. That's real meditation. That's mindfulness and detachment. So just relax in that. Be at peace in that. And then it's kind of like we go through a sauna or purification, and it's not that we're robust and ready to take on the world. That grit is almost, it comes through like the abandonment of our self-power, and then we're just exhausted, but we're ready. And we are exhausted, but we're ready to try and to show up and be flexible and see what happens and see where this practice can lead us. But we need trust and faith that our own capacity to cause suffering is not as strong as another's capacity to end that suffering, or to be compassionate and wise with that suffering, or to see right through it. That's not Nino. That's just body and mind. That's just Nama and Rupa. That's not Nino's true face. Nino's true face is not someone, not at some place, not at some time. That your capacity to confuse yourself is nowhere near the capacity to confuse that monk or that teacher or that spiritual friend. And that's we detach from that faith we have in our ego or our self-fixation, and we trust, we have faith in the Sangha, in the community, and whoever we can get our hands on. I'm trying to level up here, but it takes time. So, please, dear community, be patient with me. I'll try to be more enlightened. But I know, my teacher, very, very, serious. So I have trust, I have faith in him. And also this community here is very wonderful. So I have connections and resource points, but not just for people to go to a spa, but for people to get seriously involved in the practice and to take refuge in the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, countries where you can go, And we've already had one member of our Sangha that's done that and become a nun. And we have another member of our Sangha who's kind of in that process. They're staying at one of the centers in the U.S. So it's very possible. For me, if I had to build a family and get a job and find a house somewhere and get a car and get car insurance and try to get a new license because mine's expired, and electric bills and all this stuff, I would be stressed as all heck too. I'd be out of my mind. I wouldn't be so comfortable in my practice. But I don't need to go in that direction just because a lot of people go in that direction. Just in the same way, that habit energy I have in myself to do a particular thing, is not necessary. And I don't need to be so serious about it. Actually, my seriousness about that thing feeds it. That substance or that activity or that place or that person. No, it's not that serious. It's just my recognition of its impermanence and its unsatisfactoriness, and that it doesn't exist separately. So it's not to be blamed or grasped on. It's just cause and effect. It's not me, it's not mine.
Thank you so much for the answer. And I'm going to sit with that for a minute.
Do you have a bathtub, Nino?
I wish.
Oh my
I have a
goodness.
nice hot shower,
We can
as per your
also
recommendation.
we can also do a sitting down in the hot shower in the dark. That's also a good one.
It's often what I do when
Yeah.
I'm navigating myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been very nourishing to be able to return to this community when life throws me a curveball and I think I have everything sorted and I know exactly where I want to go, or hey, this is what I'm good at, I'm going to do this or that, and oh, my parents told me I should do this, or I'm part of this clique or community. So I definitely understand what you're saying to me. It's just I also have to be practical about how I approach my aspirations and my practice. So it's a bit challenging, but I'm open to the challenge.
Yeah, I'm happy to see you here, Nino.
I wanted to ask for people who do have a bathtub. What was the practice you recommended?
Pretty simple. Get in there. Be mindful. That's it. You can turn off the lights too, or a candle. We need to know how to relax. Maybe if you are someone who has a more tension habit energy or excited habit energy, then you need to prioritize to not just relax in like a getting drunk way, but bring your presence to relaxation. And bathtub can be helpful for that. And if we are a person that's more lazy or more generally relaxed and we find ourselves just kind of flowing in our suffering and our unskillful habit energies and patterns, right? You need to scoot your boot, get it out the door, and get to doing good deeds, volunteering, showing up, getting involved, right? Actually, I think we can be very surprised how serious the illness can be, and yet it can still be worked with and cured or healed. You know, but the better thing is don't let yourself get too sick. You know, don't sell the house when you've already got an apartment, whatever that means.
I believe you forgot your red nose, sadly.
I wear it, trust me. It's my heart is a red nose somehow. Anyone else have a question or want to share something?
I guess if I could.
Let's see.
A lot of what has been shared today has reminded me of just what's been happening to me recently. Someone came back into my life. I got very tangled up with them again, like I was 3 years younger, like when I'd first met them. My sort of habitual self emerged back from that time, and I got very lost for a while. And that's why I haven't been here as much. And it took me a while to sort of rise up through the water I dived into and start to understand what was happening. And then I did have to detach from the person actually again to come back to myself. And then just in time, as it turned out, for you mentioned it today, so I'll mention it too. The Vipassana retreat to be accepted. So that starts next week.
Great.
It's very strange how these things happen sometimes, where it was like a great challenge came into my life and I resolved it just in time. But it was having to let go. It was having to let go again.
Have you done one of those before?
No,
Okay.
This is my first time.
So whatever they tell you, just be gentle and soft with yourself and compassionate with yourself and go slowly and rest and don't be serious about it. Wear your clown nose the whole time, which is actually not a performance of being a clown, but it's just not being serious. Don't be stressed. Don't be tense about it. Don't try to force anything. Whatever they tell you, just supportive meditation instruction and be natural, gentle, soft, slow. And just come back to that and remember this is just a practice for your opening and your heart and your joy and your peace. And it should be okay. Well, whatever it is, it'll be okay. Yeah, we have.
Oh, sorry.
No, you go ahead.
I'm just I'm trying not to have too many expectations, and I am trying to, not get overly serious about the whole situation.
Well,
It
just
seems a little daunting when you think about it. 10 days silent.
just keep the
Just
expectation that you'll need to be strong, to be gentle, and remember that, and not forget it, and not to get in like this struggle to meditate, to have this experience, because that just works us up. It just stresses us out. So rest and practice and enjoy. Don't be too serious, and don't take anyone there too seriously. Just be natural.
Thank you.
Okay, so friends, we'll finish here for now, and I'll let everyone know that after Christmas I'll do a bit of a digital detox. So should be offline for about 2 weeks, and then I'll be available again for a few days, and then I'll go into an intensive retreat at another temple, about a 7-day retreat. On my birthday, on January 20th, I'll start a retreat for 7 days. So for any sharing or questions or reaching out, the best way to reach me is by email at bhantevp@gmail.com, bhantevp@gmail.com. And of course, any other way you message me is also good. Thank you all for being here, and let's keep moving forward. And please know that I'm ready to support you in whatever way I can. But we've got to really practice deeply and wholeheartedly. Otherwise, even Buddha himself or the ocean couldn't support our weight of our lack of practice, our lack of remembering, right? So keep coming back to it. Let's finish with just 3 sadhu, all right? And sadhu means well done, good job. And in that sadhu, sharing out our joy and our practice and this path with all beings. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Be well.